Good afternoon, everyone. This is Deb Hawkinson, President of Forest Resources Association, and I'm so happy that so many of you have dialed in and joined the webinar that we're hosting today. FRA is interested in sharing practices and programs that are taking place across the country to address the trucking workforce concern. I know all of you that are on the call today, recognize the seriousness of this problem that we're looking at ahead of us and currently experiencing today. And we just think it's a great opportunity to share such a great program that can be replicated and taking place in Beaufort County, North Carolina. So the presenters that we have today are Justin Rose, the Director of Industry Training, Beaufort County Community College, Sherry Halstead, Weyerhaeuser's North Carolina Timberlands Transportation Manager, and Paige Davis, Wood Industry Insurance Specialist. So Justin, Sherry, and Paige, thank you all for being on the call today and sharing your experiences. I thought I'd just give a little background on the program and then turn it over to all of you. In 2017, Beaufort County, North Carolina Community College added a log truck driving specific curriculum to its existing truck driver training program. And successful graduates of this training program obtain their Class A commercial driver's license. The log truck driving portion of this 16-week program, which I think really makes it interesting and successful, is that they use woods, roads, and local Weyerhaeuser timberlands and over-the-road routes with a loaded log trailer. So obviously, the students get some great learn over-the-road driving experience with a dry van and flatbed trailers. That'll really help them get a good idea of how to operate them safely on the various roads and highways and prepare them for hopefully a future career as a truck driver. The Beaufort County Community College program is a way to meet the local forest products industry's growing log trucking workforce needs. So I know Weyerhaeuser is excited about it. I want to thank Paul Davis, Vice President of Western Timberlands at Weyerhaeuser, who I reached out to and really kind of helped us pull all this together. And then, of course, Weyerhaeuser, other people at Weyerhaeuser, Brian Cheney, North Carolina, Virginia Region Manager, Clay Thomas, Southern Timberlands Director of Harvest Transportation, and Kim Campbell, North Carolina, Virginia Harvest Transportation Manager. So we've got a lot of people involved trying to pull this together, and I just want to make sure that I've thanked each and every one of you. And before we get started, I just want to touch on a couple of quick housekeeping notes. I'd ask you to use the chat feature to ask any questions, and they'll be addressed at the end of the presentation today. And you should automatically have come into this webinar, and I think everyone has, where your audio and video are not activated. So if that's not the case and you start to see your picture or you can hear yourself, please make sure to take yourself off the video camera and mute so that we don't disrupt the webinar. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our presenters today. And again, thank you so much. Sherry and
okay.
Are you all there?
Yes, ma'am, we are.
Okay, great.
If you go to the next slide. This is Sherry Halstead from Weyerhaeuser. So basically what we did was we recognized a need now and in the future for quality drivers, and we're saying 50,000 plus at least across the United States. I also read an article the other day that said that's more like 450,000 across the United States over the next 10 years, just replacing drivers who are retiring. So that's not including bringing any new drivers in. So and part of the reason that we thought that this is happening is because you've got an aging driver population. You've also got health issues occurring now because you've got an aging driver population. The younger drivers are finding it hard to get insurance when they're coming to the trucking industry, along with a younger population is not interested in being a trucker at this point in time either. And also the drug epidemic, we think, is playing a factor in why we're having a hard time finding quality drivers. If you go to the next page. So what we did was Paige Davis, who's an insurance agent, approached us. He recognized the problem for what it was and approached us about working together with Beaufort Community College. We're in North Carolina, so we call it Beaufort. And so we started meeting together with Beaufort Community College, and together we worked together to add additional hours to their program for the log truck driving part of it. So we had a log trailer that was purchased for the school to use, and mainly that was purchased using a foundation that was from Weyerhaeuser, a grant from Weyerhaeuser Foundation. And then we also put them in contact with one of our loggers who actually loads the trailers for them with logs each Friday when they're getting ready to have class, so that way they have a loaded log trailer to use. And he will, on the next Monday, take the load into the mill for us and deliver it. And then Weyerhaeuser is furnishing logging roads and deck areas for the trucks to use, so they get used to running down our dirt roads or our rock roads, and get used to backing into areas across canals, which is what we have in North Carolina. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Justin. So if you go to the next page.
And can everybody hear me well? I hope so. If for some reason you can't hear me, just let me know. You can transition to the next slide. And this will be available at the end on the last slide. So if anybody wants to reach out to me, email is the best way to contact me. I'm happy to, I know some have reached out to me ahead of time. I'm more than happy to answer any questions, give any more information. So you can proceed to the next slide. So to begin with, before students ever enter into our program, there are some prerequisites. First, they do have to go to the DMV and obtain their Class A learner's permit, a valid DOT medical examination, and a valid negative DOT drug screen before they can even register. At the time of registration, they must also agree to our random drug testing and drug and alcohol policy, which informs them of the state DMV laws and regulations with driving intoxicated or under the influence, as well as our local policy, which shows what will happen if they ever did attempt to drive or show up to class intoxicated, or were ever found intoxicated or under influence on a drug screen or refused a drug screen. And then another thing which kind of separates us from other driving schools is our fees. We run through our continuing education department, which allows us to run at $231.25 for our course fee. And our books range right around $118, which, as everybody in education knows, those could change due to the publisher. So the cost to the student to enroll in this class is right around $350, not counting the prerequisites they have to have. I found locally with the prerequisites and the registration fees, it usually averages around $550 to $600, which is phenomenal for the training they get. And we do have a lot of local organizations and local donations that have allowed us to give access to scholarships for a lot of these students. We also work with our local workforce development boards for those who are underemployed, unemployed, or have experienced a recent layoff. They can also get funding and sponsorships to enroll into it. We do have some competition in the area with our driving. Some short-term private schools offer 4 weeks. Now we do 16 weeks, in which I'll expand in later because we want them to have foundational skills to be able to drive right out of our program. Some of these private schools cost upwards of $4,000 to $8,000 and run during the week, which for some students it's hard to come up with that money. They have to get some take out loans, some have to quit their job to be able to attend. So we give them a school that's easy to afford, easy to access, and which we're about to go into in a minute. But they also gain more time on the road and more experience through us. You can proceed to the next slide. So to begin, Beaufort County Community College has the largest geographical footprint for any community college in the state of North Carolina, which includes Beaufort, Terrell, Hyde, and Washington counties, and which any of y'all know of the area. That's a lot of timberland, a lot of forest, a few mills are in this area. So I'm really excited that we're able to assist with training log truck drivers, because many of the routes that lead to these mills are in our service area. So it's natural we drive them. Our school, before we partnered, we're driving these with drive-in trailers. And so our students were already getting experience on interstate and rural local roads. So that just shows you the impact of our service area, and you can proceed. So to give you more insight into the structure of our class, we do have a 16-week schedule, which comes to 384 hours. During the week, Monday through Friday, students access our online classroom via Blackboard, which covers textbook instruction, instructional videos. Other things we have include OSHA 10, OSHA involving log truck driving. And so this allows students who work during the week to be able to access our class in the classroom without either having to make special trips out, or we have many that work second and third shift, and this allows them to be able to access the classroom and not miss that time. Our students come to campus on Sundays and Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., and this is where they do their over-the-road driving and labs. The students go over the course of the class on 10 trips, going from a local rural road where they learn proper shifting techniques and how to drive on a local small rural road, to the final trip. We take them to the Kangaroo Express truck stop in Kinston, so that way they can experience every type of road and interstate that they're going to experience driving. So they progress throughout that time. We have a 1-to-2 instructor to student ratio in this class. So how we do is, when the students leave campus, one student drives with the instructor in the passenger side supervising. Once they get to their location, which is an hour and a half out each trip, they switch and the other student will return to campus. What this does is it gives them about 750 miles throughout the course of the class that they drive, and then they observe an additional 750 as their partner drives. When they are not over the road, they are on campus doing labs, which you'll see a shot of that in a few moments. These labs include coupling, uncoupling, backing, which includes docking, 45-degree, 90-degree, your various backing techniques. They do focus largely on these during the class, because we have found from industry feedback that these are skills that are severely lacking in some drivers, everywhere from Snyder to local companies. So they work on that. And then at the end of each day, on Sundays and Saturdays, they come together for an hour and debrief. So this allows all the students as a whole, instructors, to come back and debrief on what they experienced that day, to ask questions and to gain a better understanding of their training day by day. You can proceed to the next slide. Some of our partners that make this possible, and I will sing praises to our partners all day long. Weyerhaeuser, the partnership we have here, Thomas Biggs Trucking, who allows us, as you can see in the picture, allows us to get access to our logs for our over-the-road routes. SIA Group, Mr. Page is representative of, has done a great job. I really applaud him for bringing us all together. NCDOT, I'm going to touch on that for a moment. We do have partners in NCDOT that allow us to be able to run this program, as well as one issue I know comes with CDL, state trooper traffic stops. I hear a lot of concerns in the log industry. What we've been able to do is partner with our local division and actually have officers with the local state trooper CDL division come out, speak to the students, answer their questions, and actually do a live walkthrough inspection, so that they can see before they go on to enter into a job, they can actually see what to expect. So if they ever get stopped, they have that experience. And then Alley Goods Garage is a local company that we work with on parts and tires. So I always take a chance to recognize our local partners. You can proceed. This is a Google Maps view of, I said we're out there every weekend, so I'm really glad that when they took this picture, they caught us on a weekend. this is a preview of our campus and our route. We're right on Highway 264 East coming into Washington. So people pass through all the time, and what that does is it's excellent as our campus is right on the highway. When you see the circle in the middle bottom of the screen, those trucks are trucks that are have just come in, are ready to disembark with over-the-road students. The remainder of the circles show the various courses that we set up. We use almost every bit of our campus that allows us to show docking and various backing techniques. We use every bit of the campus that allows us to do that so they can practice with that. In the upper right-hand corner, that is actually where trucks deliver to our campus, so we use that pretty heavily as well. If you look at the bottom right-hand screen, they're doing testing that weekend. The field to the left of that, we have just recently been approved to put in a course there for straight backing, which will have mats donated to us by Weyerhaeuser. So that way students can, before they even disembark on their first log route in the logwoods, they can begin practicing on mats. We have it simulated where they won't be over a canal for safety reasons, but we will have drains and berms set up, so if they leave the mat, they failed the simulation, they can restart, and they can get that experience in a safe environment before they go disembarking into the woods. You can proceed. So we discussed our service area. We've worked with other community college and their service areas to on our over-the-road routes. So the light blue is our service area. The dark blue shows the area in eastern North Carolina where our trucks actually travel. So our students travel throughout all the way to Kinston, reach south to Beaufort. We travel throughout that dark area as well as the light blue area, just to give our students every bit of experience on any type of road that we can. They go from 2-lane restricted rural roads right through 95. Many of our trips access Highway 95. We are looking at eventually working in there to where we can access the Beaufort Port. One thing that's been requested is expanding our instruction into TWIC process. That's something we're looking at, and I think working with our partners, that's something we can definitely make possible. I'm very excited about. You can proceed. So this touches on, Ms. Sherry already touched on this. Our aim is to take a program that's been successful and trained many drivers that I'm very proud of, that's made an impact in our area, and continually expand it to find new ways to help local employers, local organizations. And it's been a pleasure to work with Weyerhaeuser and the local log companies, SIA Group, to just find, to meet this new need. And we're always thinking of ways, like with the new course on campus, to expand how we can train them. You can proceed. And our log trip, how they work is, our first log trip, we go through local logwoods, the dirt rock roads with a half-loaded trailer, so that they can begin to understand how a loaded trailer feels, because it is different from a drive-in trailer that they're used to traveling with. Each student in the class goes through this route just to experience it and to see, if they're capable of safely handling this log trailer, or if it's something they feel comfortable doing. If a student goes to this route and does not feel that log truck is for them, we do not make them go through the over-the-road route. Many of our students do choose that and go over the road through the drive-in storage. This was our previous route that was in place for our traditional class that took them through New Bern from Washington into Kinston to the Kangaroo Express Truckway. This is one of the more advanced routes that allows them to travel through 33, which can be a restricted road, all the way to Kinston. You can proceed. This is a route that we are going to be changing for the log truck emphasis. Although it is a great route, students will still be able to travel that route with dry van. What we're doing with the log emphasis, though, is since many of our employers travel local roads to the mill, such as the one in Plymouth, we are adjusting our secondary log emphasis route to travel from Washington through Highway 171 to Jamesville, which has some of the thinnest roads, I guess you say restricted or skinniest roads in the area. We're not going to go into the mill at Plymouth, but they will go right up to the mill, pass through there, and return through Highway 32 back to Beaufort County into campus. This will be done with a fully loaded log trailer as the previous route to Kinston was done. So you can see how the students progress through on campus, backing on the mats, to a half-loaded log trailer into Logwoods, to finally an over-the-road route with a fully loaded trailer. We've had really good experience with our students who completed this, and they've done very well with this progression. So you can proceed. So our class enrollment, we've had 3 classes since we've partnered with Weyerhaeuser and SIA Group and all the local employers. So far, we've seen a trend of 50% of our students have gone through both log emphasis trips and have received a certificate for the CDL truck driving program with a log emphasis. We also do keep a database of all of our students who've completed the program. Those who have completed log emphasis are marked. That allows us to be able to share their information with local employers looking for log drivers, as well as allowing me to show local employment, easily share local employment opportunities with them. We recently this summer started one on June 24th, and thankfully it's the biggest class I've ever had. We currently have 22 students in our class. We usually average, as you can see, 16 to 20. So I'm very excited about this growth. We already have students calling for our next class, which is in January. We'll run 2 a year. We are looking at how we can expand this to meet the needs, increase our graduates. But I'm very excited about this. There are definitely people out there who want to learn how to drive, and we are doing what we can to help meet the need of all trucking companies, but especially those local ones like the log companies that need local drivers. You can progress or proceed. As with any organization, we do have some challenges. A lot of our challenges echo what I've heard local companies, over-the-road companies, local log companies have. We're a small rural college, which means we do have limited resources. We do a large bit of our maintenance in-house. We have some great experienced individuals who worked in diesel mechanics and truck driving for 20 to 30 years. Really glad to have them on staff. They have a wealth of knowledge and have really taken this program to a new level. One thing is, too, we do have aging trucks. We have a great fleet of trucks. I'm really pleased with what we do have to offer the students. We have a mixture of automatic and manual 10 and 13 speed, so they can get a diverse feel for different trucks. But again, as anybody listening in who owns a company or runs a program knows, maintenance and fuel are probably our biggest challenges. And so we're incredibly thankful to Weyerhaeuser for the grant we were able to get from them and the partnerships we have that allow us to be able to manage these costs. But if anybody does know of any grants or any opportunities out there, partnerships that could help with this, I would love to speak with you. We are always looking for ways to make all of our programs grow and become better. And so partnerships like these definitely make that happen. You can proceed. Again, there's my information. Feel free to reach out to me. I do travel at times. We have, again, the largest service area in the state of North Carolina, but email I always have on me, and I'm able to turn around emails fairly quickly. I'd love to make new contacts with this, to share information, to brainstorm. we can only grow when we come together. So thank you for the opportunity for us to present, and let us know how we may assist in the future.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, both of you. Paige, do you have any comments you want to add?
Well, just generally, the insurance portion of this is certainly, I don't think anybody knows anything about the woods industry, does not know how significant that is. But we're working with insurance carriers to make some exceptions as far as age or experience if they have taken this course. And our goal is to have this course reproduced nationwide. We're not looking to hide what we're doing here. We understand the need. We're thinking in the next 5 years, we'll need in North Carolina alone 4,500 additional drivers. And probably 1,200 of those need to be log truck drivers. So we're trying to make it as simple and easy as possible. And one of the goals that we're going to, hopefully, is that if you are not 21, but you've taken this course, a logging company can hire you at a surcharge. And there'll be a minimum the first year, less than a minimum the second year. The third year, if you're still working, there'll be no surcharge. And you've got a good driver who appreciates the fact. And one of the things I want to say also is that certainly scholarships would be helpful. If it costs you $600 to get a 20-year employee that knows how to drive a log truck, it's certainly worth that $600. And anyway, that's one of the ways that we're hoping that we'll get more people in this program. Mm-hmm. Last, we call this program a mustard seed. We're not going to have 2,000 drivers come out of both community colleges, but hopefully as it grows and different states and different community colleges put this thing together, it'll be one of the answers to the question we're having in the next 5 to 6 years about losing drivers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you for that, and thank you for sharing your insights. I know we have some questions that I thought we could go to next. If you, Sherry, can you see them on your screen?
No, I cannot.
Okay, Jacob, can you pull them down and we can just read them off?
Yeah.
So one question we have is, how do you keep the cost so low?
Okay.
And
go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go ahead. That's good.
I can go ahead and do those. Our instructors, we have part-time instructors, just the pay scale that Beaufort County Community College has. Ours falls within a $20 to $25 an hour range. Of course, I can't release any specific dollar amounts on that. Cost so low. We are federally funded through FTE. So our funding is based on the enrollment, how many students we have, but with running it through our continuing education program, we have set registration fees that are set for us that we offer. So the good thing about that is they're affordable. So with our program running at 384 hours, we're able to leverage the low cost for registration with the number of hours we're able to gain from student enrollment. Now, I could say we could always increase and do more weeks than we do, but just the reason we settle for the 16 weeks is many of the students are ready to get out and get a job. We don't want to hold them up in a year-long program or something like that. But at the same time, there are many schools who do 4-week programs, may do 80 hours or so. We constantly do advisory boards and reach out to our local employees to see what the minimum driving hours. One thing is many students, they don't know how to shift a truck when they come to us, but by the time we're done, they're able to effectively and efficiently drive a truck successfully. They're quality drivers. But again, they face the challenge of who's going to hire me with no experience. And so that's another thing. Many companies require around 100 to 175 hours of experience in order to, hire somebody, have a training program. So our thing is, what can we do to balance going above and beyond while also being reasonable? That way
Okay.
we can get students in and help them, get into a job rather quickly.
Sure. Okay. We have a few more questions. One is, how much do you pay your instructors, if you're willing to share that, Jason?
Again, like I said, I can't give any specific rates,
Yeah,
but
yep.
usually
All right.
our average is $20 to $25 is just a pay rate set up through our college.
Sure.
They can go outside of that, but that's just the established average.
Sure. Okay. The next is from Rick Meyer with FRA. Are insurers more reluctant to insure new, inexperienced young log truck drivers versus new, young, over-the-road drivers?
No, the operative words there are new and young. It's like if you have a child and your child's 16 years old and get their driver's license, there's a high percentage chance the first year they're going to have an accident. That's just the facts of life.
Right.
What we're trying to do is eliminate some of the problems if they just go to a job. They're getting 1,500 miles of driving or observing driving. They're getting all these hours in the classroom, and they are learning how to drive a log truck, which is entirely different than driving any other truck.
Right. So, but are you finding that it's harder to get insurance if you want to drive a log truck versus driving, over the road route, not a log truck?
Yes, but it's not easy no matter what you want to drive if you're 18 to 21 years old.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Can you elaborate? This is from Jamie Major. Can you elaborate on what the mats are and what they're being used for?
The mats are wooden mats. They are what they sound like, mats. I mean, we lay them out on the log road. They help with the trucks moving down the log road, especially in the muddy areas.
Okay. I think that if it doesn't, I think he can pop up another question, but I think that answers it.
Okay.
And he does also want to point out the Drive Safe Act that's currently in Congress. Are you all watching that or discussing it?
And there's a few different things moving. I know, and I know there's also discussion on reducing ages down to 18.
Yep.
I know one thing that we're watching closely as well is the federal motor carrier. By 2020, they're really changing the way that they oversee and mandate training programs, which means they're going to have a structure that says this is what you will teach. We don't see any concerns with that. Again, we teach way above what industry usually requires. And so, as with anything, just like with this partnership, this isn't something that's set in stone that I'm going to get defensive of if we have to change it. I'm always looking for ways to make things safer, to make them better. Again, to go back to just some recent changes we've made with partnering with the local state trooper division to bring them in, to get them familiar with students, to get them students familiar with what they may experience on the road. To something else that we're working on doing that's new that I don't hear many programs doing is introducing more human resource and soft skills. One thing stigma out there is truck drivers aren't painted as professionals sometimes. There's big misconception on what a truck driver is. Even a stereotype is when people think of them. And so what can we do to better prepare them to safely drive a truck and operate it, but also to work within their organization, with other organizations, through delivery. So we're not looking at the drivers just as, here's a body that can drive a truck. We're looking at how can we prepare them as a whole to be a better driver, to better handle themselves, and to just, like I said, reduce that stigma of the truck driver, better prepare them for a career, not just a short-term job.
Right. No, that's good. Let's see, we've got a few more if you all have time.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So Ray Berthume up in Maine wants to thank Justin and everyone for walking us through this outline and asking if there is interest from their contractors. Are they able to contact you, Justin, to help set up a similar course in their locations?
I'm
Understanding. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, you go right ahead.
I'm always happy to be a help, any way that I can. Again, a rising tide floats all boats. So if I can help, it's a national problem. Things like this, recent report was put out that even though our economy is growing, the one thing that might negatively impact a growing economy is a shortage on truck drivers. So that's something, it's bigger than me. It's a national thing. It's going to benefit everybody. So if I can help, I'm more than happy to.
Well, I think you certainly are. There's an interest from Justin Schmidt on what your graduation rate and job placement rate is coming out of the program.
I'm going to be transparent. I'm not going to say that we have perfect numbers. We do place around low 90% as far as successful completion. And that, when I say successful completion, is completion of the program and passing the third party, because we do, and I left that out. At the end of the program, we also have a third party examiner on staff that allows throughout the program. We do them in phases where students are able to test on the pre-trip skills and road test. So that way, when they're completed everything and successfully passed the test and the class, all they have to do is take the paperwork to the DMV and pay for their license. Our passing rates, low to mid 90s. Again, I contribute that completely to the staff that we have. These guys are great working with anybody from any background, and they really, it's not just a job, they really are pouring into these drivers to help them become, like I said, not someone who just drives a truck down the road, but someone that can make a career out of it. So I'd say low to mid 90s.
Okay, great. That's a great success rate. Next question is from Patricia Keebler. She wants to know if you created the course yourself, or was it an online course, or also sounds like things might be changing with Federal Motors Carrier making some things mandatory, but just kind of curious how you developed the curriculum.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see how that goes. I personally built ours via Blackboard from scratch. Every week they have assignments, videos, textbook readings. They also have, we update them with local happenings involving CDL drivers, local articles, supplementary reading. The instructor and I work hand in hand. He keeps it maintained and we update weekly. But as far as the initial build, I did build that from scratch using the textbook that we use, as well as just research and feedback from industry partners.
Great. Gosh, congratulations. I think our last question here is, I'm sorry, is there more, Joseph? Oh, no, there's a few more. Okay, a few more. I think with 3 more, and I think that'll be it. One of the first slides say the demand is 50,000 drivers per year. And the question is that specific to logging or the entire trucking industry?
That was trucking industry.
Okay. The entire trucking industry. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Any idea how much of that's logging?
No, I don't.
Hard, yeah. That's a hard
Yes,
one.
10%.
10%? Okay.
What's happening in the logging industry nationwide is that the small guy who's doing 20, 30, 40, 50 loads a week is going out of business, and the big guy that's doing 100 is now doing 120 or 130. So that's where that's going.
Okay. Insurance carriers, are you working with several, or just there's a curiosity here on what insurance carriers that you're currently working with?
Well, the one as far as the program, the one I'm credited to is SIA, and Paige can go from there on that. It's been a pleasure working with them.
And we use several carriers, and I would be remiss to name them because I don't know in what states they're approved and what states they're not.
Sure, that makes sense. Okay. And then I think, let's see, is the logging emphasis portion of this class the entire 16 weeks or an additional time period after the OTR portion, over the road portion?
It's intertwined into the program.
For all 16 weeks?
For all 16 weeks. So how it works is before they're ever introduced to a log trailer, they spend the first half of the class learning dry van. So they learn automatic into their manual and the 10, 13 speed. So before we ever introduce them to a loaded log trailer, we want to make sure they're safely operating. They have a fundamental understanding of the truck. So as they're going from that, the full 16 weeks is dry van. For those who take the emphasis route, they move into the skills training in the lab with the mats, progress. Everyone goes through the trip over the road trip with the half loaded trailer in the logwoods, and then those who pass that route, or those who pass the route and want to pursue the log emphasis, then graduate to in the advanced stages of the class, the over the road trip with the fully loaded log trailer. Those who are not comfortable with the logging truck, or just decide to take the dry van to go over the road with a shipping carrier or transportation company, they do a different trip while those are pursuing that log route. Does that make sense? So it's intertwined into the program, but everybody starts by gaining that fundamental knowledge of the truck.
Sure. So I think so. I mean, when on the logging portion, those students that have selected that, I guess they just kind of go off in a different focus.
Correct. Everybody
Yeah.
follows the same structure.
Mm-hmm.
Just training differs at times depending on the route that they take.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I think so. Does to me. And what is the name of the textbook?
The name of the textbook is Tractor Trailer Driving by Alice Adams. I don't have the ISBN right in front of me, but again, 4th edition, Alice Adams, Tractor Trailer Driving. Excellent book. We've used it throughout the time we've had the program. Really enjoy the curriculum. They cover a great deal of information, and each week they cover the full book throughout the class. Each week is pretty much takes the book and divides it throughout the 16 weeks. So on top of their driving, they're learning the knowledge base. Two, we organize the program so as they progress in the program with skills, they're progressing in the book and getting that deeper knowledge.
If we can, Justin, if we can get in contact with you and get the name of the book, and when
Absolutely.
we put this up, we can include that on the
Absolutely.
Okay. I think that's all the questions. Well, you always can tell a great presentation by the questions you get, right? I think you hit it out of the park. We have a lot of great questions and interest. You may be getting a lot of contacts after this for people who want to learn more, which is, I think that's great. You're so supportive of that and want to help out. So again, I want to thank everyone for calling in, and appreciate you taking the time, and look forward to working with everyone in the future to make a difference in this area. Take care.
Thank you.